Thank you, Mr. President. You said several times that the United States has ramped up testing. Just talk a little quicker or a little louder. Mr. President, you said several times that the United States has ramped up testing, but the United States is still not testing per capita as many people as other countries like South Korea. Why is that, and when do you think that number will be on par with other countries?
Yeah, well,
and
it's very much on par. Look, per capita, we have areas of country that's very hard. I know South Korea better than anybody. It's a very tight. Do you know how many people are in Seoul? Do you know how big the city of Seoul is? 38 million people. That's bigger than anything we have. 38 million people, all tightly wound together. We have vast farmlands. We have vast areas where they don't have much of a problem. In some cases, they have no problem whatsoever. We have done more tests. I didn't talk about per capita. We have done more tests by far than any country in the world, by far. Our testing is also better than any country in the world. And when you look at that, as simple as that looks, that's something that's a game changer. And every country wants that, every country. So rather than asking a question like that, you should congratulate the people that have done this testing, because this administration inherited a broken system, a system that was obsolete, a system that didn't work. It was okay for a tiny, small group of people, but once you got beyond that, it didn't work. We have built an incredible system to the fact where we have now done more tests than any other country in the world, and now the technology is really booming. I just spoke to I spoke to a lot. I'm not going to even mention. I spoke to a number of different testing companies today, and the job that they've done and the job that they're doing is incredible. But when Abbott comes out and does this so quickly, it's really unreal. In fact, one company I have to say that stands out in the job, and I think I can say this, I don't want to insult anybody else, but Roche. Roche has been incredible in the testing job they've done, and they're ramping it up exponentially. It's up, 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 up. And you should be saying congratulations instead of asking a really snarky question, because I know exactly what you mean by that. You should be saying congratulations to the men and women who have done this job, who have inherited a broken testing system and who have made it great. And if you don't say it, I'll say it. I want to congratulate all of the people. You have done a fantastic job, and we will see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
There are a few people in the world who seem to legitimately scare Donald Trump, and one of them is PBS's Yamiche Alcindor. For the third time in a row at one of these press conferences, Yamiche asked a straightforward question that Trump simply could not bring himself to answer truthfully, to the point where he opted to literally end the press conference rather than continue. But in terms of Trump's claims, he said that our testing is on par on a per capita basis with countries like South Korea, which is patently untrue. Both the United States and South Korea had their first cases of coronavirus on the exact same day, January 20th. By February 16th, nearly a month later, the US had tested about 800 people, while South Korea had tested 8,000. In terms of per capita testing, as of March 28th, South Korea has tested more than 3 times the amount of people as the US has. And it was precisely that lack of testing that stopped the US from being able to contain the spread, which is why, while South Korea has flattened their curve with less than 10,000 people infected, the United States' cases are climbing exponentially, recently blew through 100,000 and are fast expecting to hit 200,000. So I don't know where Trump gets his numbers, but not only are we not testing more on a per capita basis than South Korea, we are at a third of what they're doing. And Trump goes on to make more unfounded claims, like that the United States tests are, quote, better than other countries' tests, which is just him saying words and doesn't actually mean anything. If a test works and shows whether or not you're positive, I have no idea what it means to claim that it's better than another test that also shows whether or not you're positive. But just for a second, let's grant Trump everything he said, that the US tests are the best and that we're testing more per capita than any other country in the world. That's all well and good, but at this point it's too late. We needed this weeks ago. South Korea no longer even needs to test at the levels that we're testing because they tested in the beginning when it mattered. They contained the spread and they stopped the virus. Meanwhile, in the United States, Trump was busy pretending the thing didn't even exist and stopping cruise ships from docking in port because he didn't want his numbers going up up and telling everyone to go back to work. When we should have been getting out in front of it, we let it spread uninhibited. So even if we were testing 1 million people a day, it's already spread to over 100,000 people and is expected to hit into the millions in a matter of days. So I get that Trump wants a medal for ramping up testing, but being among the last countries on the face of the earth to figure out what the rest of the world had figured out weeks ago isn't exactly cause for celebration. Trump also tries to flex here by flaunting his extensive knowledge of the city of Seoul in South Korea. He actually says, "I know South Korea better than anyone," before immediately claiming that the city, which has a population of about 9.7 million people, has a population of 38 million people. Imagine literally claiming you know something better than anyone, and the immediate next words out of your mouth are missing the mark on a statistic by 4 times what the actual number is. Just imagine being that confident in your own ignorance. And by the way, you have to wonder where Trump got such a specific, albeit wrong number with regard to Seoul's population, the number 38. And you might wonder what relevance that number has to Seoul. And if, hypothetically, you were to Google it, you might see this. A Wikipedia page showing that the elevation of Seoul is 38 meters, which, if you had the brain capacity of a small child, you might look at and decide is not 38 meters in elevation, but 38 million people, and repeat that incorrect statistic 10 minutes later in front of the entire world with the confidence of an Olympic gold medalist, thereby managing to humiliate yourself even more. But again, this is all hypothetical, of course. By the way, this wasn't the only question by Yamiche that sent Trump into a tailspin. A few weeks ago, it was she who called Trump out on his decision to downsize the White House National Security Council and eliminate jobs that specifically address global pandemics, which Trump infamously called a nasty question before just denying it outright.
My first question is, you said that you don't take responsibility, but you did disband the White House Pandemic Office, and the officials that were working in that office left this administration abruptly. So what responsibility do you take to that? And the officials that worked in that office said that the White House lost valuable time because that office wasn't disbanded. What do you make of that?
Well, I just think it's a nasty question, because what we've done is, and Tony had said numerous times that we've saved thousands of lives because of the quick closing. And when you say me, I didn't do it. We have a group of people. I could ask perhaps my administration, but I could perhaps ask Tony about that, because I don't know anything about it. I mean, you say we did that. I don't know anything about it.
You don't know about the reorganization that happened at the National Security Council.
It's the administration. Perhaps they do that. You know, people let people go. You used to be with a different newspaper than you are now. You know, things like that happen.
But this was
Please go ahead.
It was also Yamiche who asked Trump about his comments made to Sean Hannity, wherein he said that states are asking for equipment that he doesn't think they'll need, and whether that kind of thinking is going to impact how he fills each state's orders. And yet again, Trump denied he said this, even though she was quoting him directly.
You said repeatedly that you think that some of the equipment that governors are requesting they don't actually need. You said New York might not need 30,000. You said it on Sean Hannity's Fox News. You said
that
why
don't you people act? Let me ask you.
You said why
don't you act in a little more positive? It's always trying to
get you. My question to you is,
get you. And you know what? That's why nobody trusts the media anymore.
My question to you is, how is that going to impact?
Excuse me, you didn't hear me. That's why you used to work for the Times and now you work for somebody else. Look, let me tell you something. Be nice.
Mr. President, my question is...
Don't be threatening.
But the most telling part of all of this is that questions like these are simply a reiteration of Trump's own words. And the fact that he is so unwilling to own up to his own statements is proof that he's so embarrassed about what he himself said that he won't even admit that he said it. And perhaps even more dangerously, that he's got no qualms about gaslighting the American people and pretending that he never did. But as long as he tries to pull those stunts, Americans will increasingly look to reporters like Yamiche to call him out for it.